Gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of the Prime Time newscast in the English language and Canal International. I'm called Maureen Z. We begin with our top stories. Unrelative calm reigns in the Bolowa South region of Cameroon following the death of a commercial motorbike rider allegedly killed by a uniform officer. The town has been tense since morning with activities virtually on a standstill. And the population of Bonaleke on the canton Aqua in the Wuri division are contesting a first-degree chief said to be imposed on them by the administration. They made their grievances known to the press yesterday, complaining that the of the new chief Louis Din Adika on July 15. Non-degradable plastic bags take at least 100 years to degrade and are considered one of the worst environmental pollutants as they degrade the soil, pollute water and the air, and destroy aquatic life. Those are major stories. Details right ahead. Good evening once more. Unrelative calm reigns in the Bolowa South officer. The town has been turned since morning with activities virtually on stand. Still many are said to have gathered in different police and gendarmerie stations to make their voices heard. According to witnesses, the victim, the motorbike rider, was being chased for lack of an identification jacket. We'll come back to that in a subsequent editions of newscasts. The population of Bona Aleke in the canton Aqua Wuri division littoral region are contesting a first-degree chief said to be imposed on them by the administration. They made their voices heard or known in a press conference organized yesterday. They complained that not to be yielding fruits as the administration rather announces the installation. Tension is brewing at the Bonaleke community in Aqua after government imposed a new successor to the throne contrary to the customs and tradition of the people. With placards, the people express indignation. They are saying no to the desecration of the ancestral land and laws that governs chieftaincy. In a meeting over the weekend, they all denounced the irregularities and violations by the administration. According to the custodians of tradition, the procedure to designate the chief was never respected, and even the imposed chief was never part of the pre-selection fees by the royal family and kingmakers. He is therefore not qualified to stand as chief of Bonaleke village under Canton Aqua. There are lots of violations. Someone presented as a chief when he was never part of the pre-selection phase by the royal family, like tradition demands, meaning he was not part of the designation process. He was absent during this important consultation. By this, he could not obtain any title. We were taken by surprise on March 15 as South Effect Aqua that he was presented as candidate that was retained. At that level of the royal family, he was not the right choice.
Il aurait su que c'est le chef de troisième degré.
Dika Pondo, France, says he is the first notable of the village. He tells me the village plays an active role in the developments of the Aqua clan. Tradition handed by the ancestors has been the watchwords as it traces the important figures that marks that dynasty. Today he regrets the involvement of the administration in the designation of a chief. Unfortunately, their cries might certainly go in vain as the accused SDO for Wuri has washed his hands as he pushed the problem to the Prime Minister, who approved the enthronement of the controversial chief, Din Louis, as the first-class chief of Bonaleke comes 5 months after the endorsement by the Prime Minister. UNESCO has tasked media professionals to be major fighters against hate speech in Cameroon in a consultation that took place today in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The communicators were drilled on measures to guide their resource persons towards a non-usage of hate speech in their respective media organs. These as UNESCO prepares for the upcoming Central Regional Platform Against Hate Speech. More in the following story with our reporter, Hyacinthia.
It is a preparatory meeting for the National Strategic Framework on the fight against hate speech, which remains a major concern for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. On possible solutions, this Monday, July 3rd, were major stakeholders of information and communication. These in strong collaboration with the Ministry of Communication and the Ministry of External Relations, with the Ground Central African Regional Platform, scheduled for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023.
The foot of Mancon a few months after he mounted the royal tool, the spiritual guide embarked on his maiden meet the people tour in the littoral region. Kejan Henry Sembe tells us more.
The reception of Fon Anguafo IV by his kith and kin in Douala on July 1, 2023 was a true testimony of his might as the supreme leader of the Mancon people of the Northwest region. The drum beats resonating across the banks of River Vuri actually announced the entry of the spiritual guide, who is on his maiden contact tour months after his enthronement as the custodian of the Mancon Royal Stool. From the littoral and southwest regions, the Mancon people stream in to listen to their phones speak on the importance of their sociological cohesion, calling on his subjects to respect the host community, a rare moment in which the new bureau of the Mancon Cultural and Development Association was presented to the public. The new team is expected to initiate new development vision in Mancon by galvanizing resources from every funding organization.
Let it be told to our children's children, to the entire Mancon community, that we have long grown out of the cocoons of discord and disunity to the shores of progress.
Traditional dances rented the air as the Mancon people displayed their culture.
Non-degradable plastic bags are considered or take 100 years to degrade and are considered as one of the worst environmental pollutants, as it degrades the soil, pollutes water, the air, and destroy aquatic life. As well, commemorate the International Plastic Bag Free Day, it is important to raise our reports.
It is estimated that close to 500 billion single-use plastic bags are utilized worldwide per day. In Cameroon, the use of these non-degradable plastic bags persists in spite of government's ban 7 years ago.
We prefer to use this plastic because we don't see the carton, the paper in the market, and in the market the plastic is more affordable and it's everywhere.
The first thing is that they still find it in the market. They still see these plastics available. It is also because of a lot of smuggling of these plastics from neighboring countries that have not banned the use of these plastics. One other thing I could say which encourages the use of this plastic is personally because the sanctions on the non-use of this plastic hasn't been applied yet on individuals.
Single-use plastic bags litter the streets, block gutters, and from landfills and dumps, they are swept into streams, rivers, and end up in the ocean.
So the plastic you're using today will take more than 100 years and 200 years at times to degrade. This leads these plastics to, generally when it rains, the plastics are in the soil, which leads to soil infertility. They go into the oceans where they pollute the seas. The aquatic animals confuse this and get degraded into particles like microplastics, which end the food chain and affect the human health as well. Dry areas, plastic with food.
To save the earth, experts suggest the use of reusable shopping bags.
People should buy their plastics and reuse it. The plastics are reusable, but the plastics that are being given for free and which are banned are non-reusable. And this is what we are discouraging.
The International Plastic Bag Free Day, this July 3, is another opportunity to raise awareness on the importance of making a significant difference by adopting eco-friendly practices.
The Chantal Biya International Reference Center for Research on HIV and AIDS Prevention and Care, CIRCB, and the Good Samaritan University Hospital Complex of Jamina, Chad, have sealed an agreement that will enable them exchange research expertise to better handle pandemics and epidemics between both countries and the sub-region as a whole. The engagement was sealed today in Yaoundé. Beatrice Gamo tells us more. We are talking about the Chantal Biya International Center for Reference on HIV and AIDS Prevention and Care and the Good Samaritan University Hospital Complex of Jamina, Chad, that have sealed an engagement that will help or enable them exchange research expertise to better handle pandemics and epidemics between both countries. More in the following story with our reporter Beatrice Gamo.
With some 17 years of research, public health, clinical trials and training, the Chantal Biya Research Center, CIRCB, got the attention of the Laboratory of Tropical Epidemics of the N'Djamena, Chad University Hospital Complex. The two then decided to merge their expertise to better manage epidemics and pandemics in their respective countries.
Nous avons une grande expérience au
We are very experienced at CIRCB in genomic research. We have acquired equipment that permits for medical issues. We want to share this with N'Djamena.
Avec N'Djamena.
The collaboration agreement was sealed between the Director General of both structures, Professor Alexei Njolo of CIRCB and Yves Njofang of the Good Samaritan University Hospital Complex, Chad, respectively, at the headquarters of CIRCB in Yaoundé this Monday.
The signing of this convention is very important for us to strengthen our scientific research, to strengthen our surveillance of epidemiology, and to strengthen the health of our population.
With just 3 years of experience, the Laboratory of Great Tropical Epidemics at the Good Samaritan, CHU N'Djamena, Chad, the charm of the experience of neighboring country, with 160 scientific articles.
Nous avons estimé que dans le développement
we estimated that in the development of Laboratory of Great Tropical Epidemics in N'Djamena, Chad, we can benefit from the pride to the Italian government through its ambassadors in the domain of scientific research and others.
And 4 days after the feast of Tabaski, or the feast of sacrifice, the Muslim community of Lendi, Cameroon's economic city, Douala, 5 district most especially, are still in the flow of the Ram feast as they gathered over the weekend at the Muslim community park to wrap up in hand to the Muslim community. More on that story with our reporter Saleh Sharifa.
The Muslim community of the Lendi neighborhood in the Douala 5 district is thankful for the good health and joy they have been through the 70 days after Ramadan. This is why they gathered on July 2, 2023, 4 days after the Feast of the Ram, to celebrate.
To start by building a mosque, because a mosque is one of the things that can attract Muslims. Now, after the mosque, I will sit together with my people to decide what next.
From the mosque to the Lendi Muslim Palace, they used this opportunity to celebrate the Excellence Award to their ruler El-Haj Abdurrahman Imran, received as an acknowledging of his benevolent acts to humanity.
Don't mind who is watching at you, at what you are doing. Just keep doing what you are doing. Make sure you are doing the right thing. because Allah is always there.
Native of Menchum Division of the Northwest region of Cameroon, El Haj Imran has been working tirelessly for the social reinsertion of displaced persons from the conflict-ridden northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, as well as helping the government fight against unemployment, give a helping hand to the less privileged.
And outside of the country, we take you to Senegal, where tension is still high. And will the President Macky Sall put an end to the tense atmosphere that has gripped the country of late? Our president is expected to address the nation at exactly 9 p.m. local time. The incumbent is scheduled to give a speech to announce whether he will run for president in 2024, something most legal experts say would violate the Senegalese constitution. Meanwhile, the Senegalese opposition leader has called on the public to come out en masse to protest against President Macky Sall seeking a term. Last month, thousands of protesters took to the streets to various Senegalese cities after Sonko was sentenced years in prison for the crime of corrupting youth. Sonko's supporters and some political observers to block him from running in next year's presidential election. The clashes were the deadliest in recent memory. And that brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language and Canal to International. Thanks so much for watching. We're coming up next is The Brief with Mark Shamo. So we'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.